Hello, 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 everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for Get Crackin' on Christmas. We are going to be creating some mermazing wishes today. I figure if we're going to be creating holiday cards during the summer months, we might as well put a little summer spin on them, right? Might as well. How is everybody doing today? If you're joining me live, let me know in the comments how you guys are all doing. Hello, Margot. Hi, Kathy. Hello, Betty. Thank you guys for joining me. Happy Friday, everybody. Hello, Andrea. So as people are popping on, I just want to let you guys know I do have supplies linked in the description of this video. I also pinned a comment at the top of the chat, so if you're with me live, that link will bring you right to the blog post where I wrote up all the details about these fabulous cards we're going to be recreating today. Oh my gosh, Betty is at the beach in Mexico. I love that, Betty. I'm a little bit jealous, but I'm so happy for you. So Get Crackin' on Christmas is a series I've been doing for several years now. I realized the fall months are some of my busiest months, and I do truly love sending holiday cards out to all my friends and family. And so with it being really, really busy months, I was finding I was not going to be able to get as many holiday cards done. And this would really bum me out come December as I was filling out my cards. I never had enough. And then come like January, February, when I'm like starting to reorganize my studio from all the holiday crafting, I also realized there was a lot of holiday stamps that I didn't end up using yet, even though I purchased them because they were adorable and I needed to have them. So I started doing this series where I make a few holiday cards each month. And then this way I have a good stack of cards come the fall. I'm not feeling as guilty. I have enough to send to all my friends and family. I'm using my supplies more. And then I'm also, because I'm doing different cards each month, I personally enjoy that a lot more than making the same card over and over. But I also found that I'm kind of trying out different techniques, trying out different supplies, because I have a little bit more time to be able to do that. So today, Get Crackin' on Christmas, I actually used a digital stamp or some digital stamps. They're from Angie Blom Designs, and I love Angie. She is so sweet and she's a good friend of mine. I actually commissioned her to do the artwork for my Copic 101 workbook. So if you've taken my online Copic 101 class, all the artwork in that workbook is Angie Blom. And if you haven't taken my Copic 101 online class, you can still register and you'll still get a workbook shipped to you. And again, Angie created all of the artwork that we are coloring in that class. So you don't need to have specific stamps, or you don't need to be a specific style to be able to benefit from my Copic 101 class. So I recently, unexpectedly needed to, stay up in New Hampshire for a few days. My dad's going through a little bit of health stuff right now. He's okay. But I'm an only child. And so I needed to go up to New Hampshire and help him out with some doctor's appointments and things like that. So I knew I still had work to do. Part of owning a small business is when you're not working, things are not being done. So I grabbed a bunch of my Copic markers and I grabbed the new fall and winter Lawn Fawn release. But I also knew I needed to create a Get Crackin' on Christmas card for July. So I was like, oh, what should I do? And I recently saw Angie posted these adorable ocean themed holiday images from her digital shop. So I do just want to mention Janabler alert. She has a lot of amazing digital images. They're on average $8, but that includes a bunch of images in one purchase. And I did notice she's having a Christmas in July sale right now. I don't believe you need a coupon code or anything. So it makes this Mermazing set of images only like $4. So again, I have her online shop linked below in the description of this video, but also the pinned comment in the chat brings you right to my blog post, and you will see the information there as well. So I am going to flip my cameras, and these are the 2 cards I created. So I was able to get all my images colored and ready to go. And then when I came home, I glittered all of the things, I trimmed them up, and I added them onto some ballet slippers Lawn Fawn ink to just give them a nice matte. And that was it. So I had 2 holiday cards done fairly quickly. I was able to sit with my dad and color, and it all worked out. But so for today, I thought we're going to use the same images, but I am going to use them in a bit of a different way, and hopefully you guys will be inspired. So when you purchase the printable, I don't know how each of her printables are, but this specific one had a bunch of different options for you. She has them set up for slimline cards. She has them set up by you can just print one image, but I found this the easiest one. I knew it was going to print. I didn't have to, play with settings or formatting. And what it did is it printed out 4 images that I can just cut, and they'll be ready for A2 card bases. So I know I'm going to get questions, about printing and how you go about that and how can you color them. So I was in New Hampshire when I printed these, and my friend Josie actually printed them for me on her inkjet printer. And I knew with an inkjet printer, you do have to be a little careful because the ink can smear. But I was able to color all of my images with Copic markers. I just wouldn't recommend taking a very light alcohol marker and wiping right over the stamped line, because I do think that kind of draws some of the ink away. But you can see here, I colored all of these images. There's no smearing, nothing. And again, this was printed with an inkjet printer, and I used Copic alcohol-based markers. So I would just recommend to you to test out your printer. It's 1 sheet of cardstock, test it out, and see what works for you. I did think maybe I was going to have to heat set it with just a Ranger heat tool, but I didn't. And honestly, we are super hot and humid right now in New England. So even with those types of conditions, it still printed fine, and I was still able to color with them. Now at home, I printed this here at home, and I have a laser printer. So I use a laser printer for a lot of business related things, all my handouts for any classes and events that I teach in person. It's a really, really nice color laser printer. It's an HP Color LaserJet Pro. I did list the model number and linked it in the supply list. But it is a lot more printer than some of you may need. It does color, it prints double-sided, but that was something I needed in my business. But you can get a fairly affordable black laser printer. You're gonna spend the money in the toner. The toner is the most expensive part. But if you're not having to print a lot of things at once or, over time, then that toner is gonna last you a really, really long time. If you don't want to mess around with printing, what you can do is check with your local print shop or your local Staples or Office Max, and a lot of them will let you email the file to them, and you can bring in whatever cardstock you want and they'll print it for you, and that will be with a laser printer. So and you can even check, just ask, do you print this on a laser printer? But 9 times out of 10 it will be printed on a laser printer. So I printed on 80-pound Neenah cardstock. I was tempted to do the distress watercolor cardstock in my printer, and maybe I will play with that another time and do some watercoloring. But again, I think Angie makes it so easy that even though there were several files that you get for $8, she does have this one here all formatted, ready to go. And I'm just going to color these up and be able to trim them into A2 card fronts. Okay, so we're going to get started. I am going to be coloring with Copic markers. And actually what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to try combining this image and then also cutting out this mermaid tail and adding it to that card front. So I'm going to try something a little different than the cards that I shared on my website. But again, these are the 2 cards that there are details. I have my Copic swatch list as well, all right over on my website, and that's linked in the comments and linked at the top of the chat in the pinned comment in the chat. So thank you guys again so much for joining me. Those of you that are joining me live, or maybe you are catching the replay, thank you. I really appreciate it. All right, I am going to zoom in because I am going to color this tree here first. And I kind of kept to the pinks in my last 2 cards, but I'm going to kind of make it a more pinky red this time. So I'm going to use R35 and RV13. And the R35 is going to be the shadow color. So I'm just going to come in and add a little bit of that R35 on some of these ornaments. And I am 100% sure I'm going to go outside of the lines. I always do when I'm teaching live, just because of the angle that I need to be in to color with the way my camera is set up. Maybe someday I'll be able to figure out a better setup, but for now, we're doing the best we can with what we have. Yeah. So let's see. Did you still use Neenah through the inkjet printer? I did. So again, my friend Josie, I was staying at her place while I was up in New Hampshire, and we kind of joke. For those of you guys that don't know, my really good friend Josie, she helps me at all of my in-person events here on Cape Cod. And actually this summer, she is working for me part-time. She came down a few times this summer and was helping me get organized. And she's kind of doing some behind-the-scenes computer work for me. And anyways, long story short, she owns a little side hustle called Side Gig. And she has a little crafty space. She does a lot of sewing. So she has a little crafty space, but we joke that it's the smaller version of my studio space because she has the same table as I do, this glass top table from IKEA. She has the same Alex drawers. She has a teal Raskog cart with her little supplies in it. It's just really kind of funny. So anyways, she had some Lawn Fawn white 80-pound cardstock, which is Neenah 80-pound cardstock. And so she was able to print that for me right through her inkjet printer. And again, I was really pleasantly surprised. I thought I was going to have to be very careful coloring with it because I was, I knew I needed to get the images colored because I knew when I came home, I'd have to photograph the cards and get them up on my website. So I knew I didn't have a ton of extra time to work with. So getting those images colored ahead of time made things so much easier. But let me know if you guys have any other questions in the comments. Please know I'm fairly new to digital images too. I'm a pretty techie person. In my previous life, before I had my own business, I went to school for graphic design and I was a web designer. So I am pretty techie, but I haven't used a ton of digital images. However, it made it really, really nice and easy. And so I can just see if you're, traveling somewhere, maybe you want to bring some coloring on the plane, or, maybe you're going to have some downtime on vacation. I think it's so fun to just be able to print out some images. You don't have to worry about stamping them or anything like that, or bringing stamps and inks with you, and then just bring your coloring medium. I filled one of the zippered pouches from Simon Says Stamp that they often give in their card kits. I filled one of those with my Copic markers, some of my most favorite colors, and it was just enough. It worked out really, really well. So I am coloring up these bows. I did kind of bring in the RV21 to have a little bit of a lighter color. I blended out with RV13, which is what I'm doing now. If you are watching me live, let me know in the comments, have you started your holiday cards? Are you working on them now while you're watching me? That's what I think is really fun about these lives that I do once a month, is I often hear from you guys about how maybe you ran out of time and that's why you weren't able to send holiday cards out, or you haven't sent any cards to any friends in a while. But I think that if you're sitting and hanging out with me, this is the perfect time to be able to work on some of your holiday cards. That's just my thought. I'm trying to gift you some time. Man, oh man, if we could really think of a way to gift time, wouldn't that be amazing? All right, so this time I am going to do a little green stripes on these presents. I kind of kept it all pinks on my originals, but it's fun to switch it up. Again, like I mentioned in the beginning, I'm not one who likes to create the same card designs over and over. So I like to switch things up quite frequently, so that it keeps my interest going. All right. Yay, so happy to hear that, Margot. I always love to see what you post after these lives. And remember, if you guys are working on your holiday cards, either now or later, you can use that hashtag #GetCrackingOnChristmas. And if you're on Instagram, it makes it really easy to follow a hashtag. So if anybody uses that hashtag on their post, it'll come up in your feed. And that's really fun too, because you're just going to get a lot of holiday card inspiration, which is really fun, especially if you're looking for some ideas to get those creative juices flowing. So fun, fun, fun. Some good parts about social media. There's some good parts out there. So I am kind of keeping it light and bright in my color palette. Again, I'm in full-on summer mode, so I don't want the colors to be too dark. And if you've followed me, you know I'm not a huge fan of red to begin with. So I often will use pinky or pinky reds in my holiday cards, because that's just what I like. So don't feel you have to, fit the mold of a color palette. There's a lot of fun things that you can do to make it work for you. All right. Ooh, Margot's working on a snowman greeting from Newton's Nook that I made a card. I love it. I can't wait to see. Andrea does try every month 1 or 2 Christmas cards. And yes, I work also on holiday cards, but other images from Angie Blum. I love that. Yeah, Angie has a lot of amazing images. She also designs stamps. I believe she still does for Unity stamps. So if you are not interested in trying digital stamps, but you really like Angie's style, she has a whole series over on Unity. I think they're called Angie's Girls, of all these fun girls that she's designed over the years. And then she also has a lot of other fun images over there as well, and those are in stamp form. All right, so I am just kind of coloring things, kind of figuring out what colors I want to do. I think I'm going to do my little starfish next. So for that, I think I'm just going to use YR14. Let's see. Liz says, I have a few holiday card projects that I've started during these lives that I still need to finish up. Other than that, nothing done. Well, that's okay, Liz. You have stuff started. That's awesome. And that just means that it's going to take less time to finish them because it's already started. So I love to find a half-started card that I did. I'm like, oh, score. That means this project's going to be done faster. Nothing wrong with that. So I'm coloring all these starfish on our little seaweedy holiday tree with YR14. And another thing to mention, if you haven't done or used digital stamps before, I bet Angie has information on her website explaining it. And I also bet if you reached out to her, she'd be happy to explain to you how to do that, how to go about that as well. She really is so nice. I met her years ago when I taught at an in-person crop and create event I'm trying to think. I saw her in Moncton, but it was the other one I taught at. Oh boy, now I'm forgetting. It's escaping me. It was pre-pandemic, and some days that just feels like 100 years ago. All right. I'm going to do the treasure chest next. So I'm going to use E27 and E23. And Liz is telling us she just got the Lawn Fawn Scalloped box card pop up this week. So I'm going to cut that out of some holiday paper today and pull out a bunch of cute holiday Lawn Fawn. I love that, Liz. And if you get something created in the next 3 weeks or a little less than 2 weeks, the Lawn Fanatics Challenge right now, which is the Lawn Fawn Challenge blog, the theme is Christmas in July. So if you guys are using Lawn Fawn stamps today and creating along with me, you can submit your card to that challenge blog and have a chance to win a $50 Lawn Fawn gift certificate, which is so awesome. And the winner's chosen by random number generator. We don't choose by like our favorite card. We do feature cards that we like from the challenge, just to kind of give a spotlight on some different people every week. But the winner is chosen by a random number generator. So everybody that enters has the same chance to win. So yeah, if you guys are creating holiday cards with me and you're watching it live, or you're watching this fairly close to the air date, you can enter the Lawn Fanatics Challenge if you're using some Lawn Fawn stamps and dies. All right. So I wonder what's in this little treasure chest here. That's what I want to know. I remember as a kid, I was an only child, and I totally remember sneaking some shaking and holding to see how heavy packages were under the Christmas tree. Oh, I did all that stuff. all that shady little kid Christmas stuff. I was all over it, trying to figure out what was going on in those packages under the tree. So like I mentioned, I've been spending a lot of time with my dad this summer. He's going through a little bit of a health situation right now, so I'm helping him out. He lives up in New Hampshire, and I live on Cape Cod in Massachusetts. So it's about a 3-hour drive from me to his house. And so I've been kind of going back and forth and spending some time up there. And he was telling me he's having a little bit of hand mobility issues. So he's having a hard time writing right now. So I was helping him write out some things. And he's like, well, I only print, I don't write in cursive. And I'm like, oh, I know, Dad. And he's like, well, what do you mean by that? And I'm like, that's how I figured out who was Santa Claus. Because I was comparing my dad's handwriting. Again, only child, so I had a lot of spare time by myself. But I was comparing my dad's handwriting to the gift tags from Santa. So that's how I kind of figured that whole situation out. But we all know the magic of Christmas is still something really fun to celebrate. But I had to be a little sneaky Jen over there as a little girl. So for the star, I'm just using Y17, Y15, and Y13, adding a little bit of color here. Let's see. Yay, Marcy. You got to get cracking. I'm happy you're here. Get something out. Get cracking. All right. For the scallop shells, I always tend to just like to give them a little bit of a blue hint. I kind of figure they're white, but I like to just give them a little bit of a blue hint. So I'm just using a little BG11 and just swooping it down a little bit into the shell, not a whole lot. And then I'm going to go ahead and color. You know what? For the seaweed, let's do a whole different color. Let's make it a bit darker. Let's see. I'm going to use this G16. I was using this on the mermaid tail when I originally made my cards, and it was pretty pretty. It was pretty cool. So I'm going to use this G16, and I'm just coloring in all the leaves on my seaweed. We are going to color the ground a bit, but I'm going to wait to do that. And after I finish coloring these leaves for the seaweed tree, I'm going to go ahead and color my mermaid tail. And what's fun about these digital images is you could just have a bunch of these colored. You could keep them in sheets, kind of this 8.5 by 11 sheet. Cut them up when you're ready. You could cut them up and keep them stored somewhere, all colored. They're just really convenient. I think they're really, really fun. Kathy says that's how she figured it out too, her mom's handwriting. My mom's handwriting was perfect, like so perfect. So I think she knew I would be on to her real fast if she used her handwriting. But yeah. Hello, Cheryl. Yeah, I was sometimes a little bit too smart for my own good as a kid. I think partially being, I was talking with my dad, I think partially being an only child, you're kind of around a lot of adults, right? And so you kind of pick up on things, I feel, a little bit faster maybe. So, and I've kind of always been pretty quick to pick up on things. But yeah, so funny. All right, so I am starting my mermaid tail, and I'm actually using a little bit of BG13. We're going to kind of have this be an underlying color. And now I'm going to use YG05, and I'm going right over that. So if you're using alcohol-based markers, what's kind of cool about them is not only do they blend, but they're translucent. So you can put one color underneath another, and it helps kind of transform that top color. And it's really, really fun to kind of see what results you get and what it's going to turn out and look like. I think it's a super fun way of getting some new colors. If you don't know already, I do not own all the Copic markers, nor do I personally want to or feel the need to. So it's really fun to kind of get different colors from the markers that you already have. So now I'm going over with YG05, one layer, so it's the true light version of itself. We're going to do a little YG21 on the tip of this mermaid tail. This is a good mermaid tail. Blending right into that YG05. Going over the base of the mermaid tail a little bit. And now I'm going to actually bring in a little bit of this G16. I'm kind of obsessed with this G16. It's really a pretty green. So my birthday is in May, which means my birthstone is emeralds. And I do not like that color. I've never been a fan, but this G16 is almost a teal green, so we know I'm already happy with it, right? Hello, Shari. Hello. I do have a live today. I didn't think to tell you because I just assumed maybe you saw my Instagram stories. I guess I shouldn't assume, huh? We were just chatting. Shari says, Mermaid Christmas, did someone design this stamp set just for you? Well, I'm going to pretend that Angie Blom designed this just for me, Shari, but I don't want to start rumors, so no, she did not. But we can pretend. We can certainly pretend. Right? All right, so now that I kind of have all this wispy mermaid color down, what I'm going to do is add some texture dots. I'm going to kind of let this dry a minute and kind of evaporate the alcohol. Liz says, my kiddo is an only child too. He realized this year where we keep the presents, so we need to find a new hiding spot. Oh boy. Good luck with that, Liz. I have no tips for you because I have no children, so I have not had to deal with that. Although, you guys know, my kitties are my children. So I'll tell you a funny story about that in just a minute. But I am using this YG29, and I'm just doing little texture dots. And so I'm not pressing hard with my marker because I don't want to ruin the tip of my marker. But I am pressing down at varying strengths to get different size dots. We're getting little dots, medium dots, big dots, all these fun little texture dots along the shadow of her tail. So I don't really have to hide presents for the kitties because they don't know what we're doing, right? However, often in their little stockings, because of course, you know, Mr. Harley, Gus, and Jack have their own little stockings. Often what they get are some sort of catnip toy. And so Mr. Harley is usually on to me. I'll usually put, you know, the catnip toys in there, you know, even a couple days before even Christmas Eve, because why not? They're just cats. And I've caught him more times than not, you know, sniffing his little stocking and pulling it down. And so I can't do that anymore. They're kind of on to me. So now I'm going to use this Y15 and I'm going to add some more dots. They're going to kind of kiss and touch the olive green dots. And because the Y15 is a lighter color, I do need to tap it a few times in the same spot so that it'll kind of overpower the darker color. So again, I'm still not pressing hard with my marker because I don't want to ruin the tips of my Copics, but I'm just continuously tapping here and there to kind of layer these colors and kind of give some more really, really cool dimension and texture. It's really kind of fun. I actually find this very therapeutic. The dotting. It's like dot, 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 dot. Okay. So now that we have that done, I'm going to cut the mermaid tail out and I'm going to trim up this tree to be the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and get my trimmer out. Thanks so much, Liz. I appreciate it. So I know this week is Inspiration Week for Lawn Fawn. And I'm sure Shari is busy in her studio working on Inspiration Week videos. Shari and Rebecca and Kelly, they all work really hard on those to get those ideas out for you guys. So, yay, Shari. So I am going to trim this background down so that it is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. And then, let's see, I did not even pick a color to mat it on ahead of time, but let's see if we have, oh good, we have some Rainforest cardstock from Lawn Fawn. I think that will be a really, really pretty color to mat this on. I don't know if this piece I just took out. So to the right of me, I have a hanging file drawer, and in there I keep my cardstock scraps organized by color. But I wasn't sure if this was a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but it is. So look, that'll work perfectly. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is trim out my mermaid tail right here. So we're gonna do just a little bit of fussy cutting, nothing crazy. It's a pretty easy image to cut out. And you guys know I love these Fiskars Spring Action scissors. I love them so much that I do have them in my online shop. And this pair I have not had since college, but my gray pair I have had since college. And spoiler alert, college was over 20 years ago. So they last a long time. But this purple pair I've had for probably 12 to 15 years. I know I've had them. I always gauge stuff for how long Chris and I have been together. Was it before Chris or after Chris? And Chris and I just celebrated 11 years. So I know I've had these since before Chris. So I'm going to say 12 to 15 years is my answer on that. All right. Yeah, Shari said she's editing as we speak. That's what I thought. And Liz says, thanks, Shari. Love the intro videos. I watch old ones when I get a new set in, and it's always so helpful, especially with the interactives. I love that. That's so great. Yeah, see, we're going to do a little mermaid tail here. Ooh, or it could even come at the side here, you guys. Ooh, I might have to do something like that. All right. Well, before we start assembling, we gotta we gotta do our ground. I was getting excited to glitter all of the things. So I'm gonna set the tail aside and the colored cardstock. And we are going to do the ground. So I'm gonna start with E21, which is just a really light brown. And kind of that same dotting technique we just did on the tail, only this one I'm not being as precise. I don't really care. I'm just filling in most of the ground with a light color brown. I do want to leave a little white. I just think it'll look kind of cute, but I'm gonna kind of dot 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 dot, kind of extend the ground a little bit on both sides. Super cute. Then I'm going to go ahead and bring in those darker browns I used earlier. So I'm going to use E23. And I'm also going to add some dots, but now I am going to try to strategically do some large dots, some medium dots, some little dots. We don't want a lot of them, but we do want to just add them in for some texture. Okay. And then lastly, I am going to add in the E27, which is that darker brown that we used on the treasure chest, which I realize I did not finish coloring, so I'll do that in a minute. But this time, this is such a dark brown, I don't want to add very many. So the most color we did was the light brown, then we did a little bit of the medium brown, and we're going to do even less of this darker brown. And then we have a sandy beach, right? All right, I forgot to do all the gold trim on this pirate chest, so I'm gonna just add that in with a little Y17. Super quick and easy. And the white stripes on the presents, I am gonna just flick a little BG11, because why not? Can never have too much BG11 in your life, right? So pretty. So pretty. Okay, now we get to glitter all of the things. Aw, thanks, Shari. Look at her linking up stuff for me while she's working hard. That's a good friend right there. All right, so I'm going to be using my beloved Quickie Glue Pen by Sakura in the Lawn Fawn Prisma glitter. And big thing when you're using ultrafine glitter, make sure you keep it contained. This is my favorite container. I did get it at the Container Store. However, I do carry them in my online shop because so many of you asked me to carry them. So when you're purchasing other things for me, you can get this glitter container as well. And so we're just going to add some sparkle. I'm going to start with the star at the top of the tree because that's a given. And because it's a little humid, we're probably gonna have a little bit of static cling here. Good old Cape Cod summer weather right now. I'm gonna add a little sparkle to the scallop shells and the white parts of the ornaments and these little black stars too. But I just want to do a little bit at once because the Quickie glue pen does dry quick. And I'm tapping the pen on the edge of my cardstock, and that gets rid of almost all of the static cling. Again, we do not have central air in our home, and we've got really high humidity right now. So I'm going to have a little bit more static cling than normal this time of year because it is July. but I will still make it work. And if it's hard to get your glitter into that spot on your card, you can use the back, put the cap on the back of your Quickie glue pen and use that like a scoop. And you can just bring a little bit of glitter up to where you want it and then tap it off. And I always tap my pen to the surface because that's a hard surface to a hard surface. If you tap your finger to that surface, your finger is soft, so it's not going to give as hard of a tap. You're not going to get all that static cling to drop off as well. We're going to add a little bit of glitter to our bows on our presents. And I love this size container because you can see I can really kind of dip that whole layer in and I'm not making a mess everywhere, which is key. We don't want to make a mess. If we're making a mess, we don't want to glitter all of the things, right? All right, I think that looks good. I'm going to do a few more of these hand-drawn stars that Angie drew into the scene and just cover them with a little Prisma glitter. And then, of course, we're going to add some glitter to the mermaid tail. So I'm going to actually just kind of make some little dots on a few of the existing dots. And because I want the dots to keep their shape, I'm going to scoop up some glitter and sprinkle it over. I don't want to dip it because it might kind of smear those dots into a weird shape. And then I'm also going to do just a little bit of lines on her fins to just put a little glitter on those as well. Ah, so cute. All right. So now what I'm going to do is figure out my positioning of my mermaid tail. And I'm really liking this fun little angle that it could come in as so that we don't lose the sentiment, right? And I can add some more green down here. And we can even put it lower like so. All right, I'm gonna flip this over and we're gonna do a little trim along the edge of the card. Just like so. So cute. I'm going to get a couple foam squares so the mermaid tail can be popped up. And hopefully you guys are seeing just how quick and easy this card is coming together. Even with all the chit chat, I've only been live 45 minutes. Which isn't so bad to get a card made, right? So we are gonna line this back up. And then I'm gonna add this to that Rainforest Lawn Fawn colored cardstock with my ATG gun. And this is going to give it a nice little colored border. So cute. And I really like how that Rainforest cardstock really brings out that mermaid tail. And we're going to add it to a card base. My other two are not on card bases, but I'm vowing to do that right after this live ends. You don't need to see me put all my cards on card bases. But if you're new here, last holiday season, I'm really bad at putting my cards on card bases. So I sent out 125 holiday cards, and most of them were card fronts. So I started a new trend. I sent holiday postcards in an envelope. It's a new trend, and I'm standing by it. But this year, I'm trying to do a little bit better at getting most of my cards onto card bases, because it is time consuming to have to do it all at the end. And there we go, you guys. Look how cute. And we've got that little sparkle happening. We got the little mermaid tail showing up. And we have a totally different look having that rainforest cardstock in the background. And then these, I did the ballet slippers lawn fawn cardstock. So fun. Look at that. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes, it's good for Christmas, California. A California Christmas too, Marcy. I totally agree. Awesome. Any questions? This is a quick and easy get cracking on Christmas this month, you guys. It's kind of what my life needs right now, honestly. We need a little ease in our lives. Awesome. Under the Sea Christmas. I know, it's so fun. So fun. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. Remember, I always post my Get Crackin' on Christmas the third Thursday of the month. And then in that post, I will always let you know when I'm going to go live. So you can come over here to YouTube, you can tap the little bell and set a reminder. I would love if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a little thumbs up. That will just help other people find this video as well. And if you do purchase any digital stamps from Angie Blom, please make sure that you tag her in them. She loves to see what you're creating with her artwork. And make sure you guys are using that hashtag #GetCracking on Christmas, because I love to see what you're creating as well. Thank you guys so much. Happy July, and I will see